So trying to constantly put on a front and act tough is ego driven, and it actually is you being non-vulnerable. It's Evie here. Welcome to EML Radio, where we are always talking truth. All of those things you need to hear that nobody else is willing to say. Hey there. Welcome back to EML Radio. We are going to talk about mental resiliency today. And notice that I said mental resiliency because I actually like that term a lot better than mental toughness. I think that mental toughness gives this impression that somehow you just become mentally tough and then you just always are. And the reality is that's just not true. There are times in our life where we feel mentally just dialed in and strong and empowered and we're just on our game. And there are other seasons in our life where things just kind of knock us down to our knees and we don't feel like we have any kind of mental strength to overcome. So what brought this topic up is in my text community, I received a message from a gal who reached out to me, which I always just love, by the way. When you guys reach out to me and let me know things that you're struggling with or topics you want to hear about, like that's where I get my content, guys. So anyway, I encourage you to do that. So anyway, this gal reached out to me and she wanted to know where I get or how I have worked on my mental game. And she shared with me that at one point in her life, she felt like she was really kind of living to her highest potential and really was mentally dialed in and strong. And then in recent years, she mentioned that she had had a stroke, and she mentioned that she had lost her brother to suicide. And then she just wanted to know some advice on what I do to strengthen my mindset. And this is just a perfect example of we look to outsiders as somehow that they have some kind of mental capacity that we don't have. And the truth is that just isn't the way it works. So those of us, myself included, because I do have a lot of mental tenacity, I'm working on it every single day. So it isn't something that I just did at one time and then I've just had mental strength ever since. Completely false. And if you've been listening to any of my current conversations, discussions on other podcasts or discussions with people on this podcast, I've really been struggling for the last a little over 2 years now. And my mental toughness has not been where it has been in the past. So I do want to give you some ideas though about what I do and the mindset that I try to keep so that I do develop mental resiliency. And I say resiliency, guys, because that is something that will carry you throughout a lifetime versus just this, oh, I'm mentally tough and I can get through anything. And the fact of the matter is most people that are touting that they have some kind of crazy mental toughness, a lot of them haven't even faced anything all that fucking difficult and they're just trying to act tough. And that actually is a sign of weakness. So trying to constantly put on a front and act tough is ego driven, and it actually is you being non-vulnerable. Non-vulnerable, is that a word? I don't know. So it's actually the opposite of being vulnerable. Being vulnerable is actually willing to show some weakness and admit, like I'm doing to you right now, that I don't always have the answers and I'm not always mentally tough, but admitting that actually makes me tougher, if that makes any sense. So we want to think about developing some resiliency. We want to develop a mindset that allows us to be kind of cruising on autopilot when things are great in life. But we also want to be able to have this mindset that when things go south for us, that we have the tools in our toolbox to kick in that mindset and mental toughness to make us resilient to get through those difficult times. So, one of the first things that came to mind when I got this gal's text message was, for one, you guys don't see it a lot, but like everybody has their struggles. You may surround yourself with people on a daily basis that really don't struggle that much, or at least they don't admit to you that they are. But I see it on my end of the fence and in my profession. People share with me their struggles all the time. And I can tell you guys, no one is immune to it. So if you don't think other people are struggling as much as you are, for one, you're probably hanging out with people that are full of shit. And you might want to rethink that. But most importantly, you within yourself need to realize, you have to step back and ask yourself, do I have it as bad as I think I do? Because I can tell you, people share a lot with me. And just look around in the world. Listen to the news sometimes. Think about all the tragedy, the sex trafficking, the child molestation, the murders, the injustices out there. Like, we're living in crazy times. There's a lot of shit going on, and I promise you, your problems probably aren't as bad as you think they are. So let's start with that. Number one principle in developing mental resiliency is you cannot have self-pity. Self-pity will destroy you. It'll make you unhappy. It'll cause you to lack joy and fulfillment in your life. And it actually makes you not live to your highest purpose. And a lot of you may be saying, well, I don't pity myself. That's kind of harsh. The fact is, if you constantly are saying to yourself, well, I don't know how I can get through this. This was such a struggle. That is somewhat self-pity. Because I promise you, you don't have it any harder than anybody else. So number one, you've got to drop the self-pity. You have to wake up each day, instead of saying how hard things are for you and how bad you have it. And I'm hearing it. Oh man, guys, I'm hearing it all the time these days. People being shut into their homes. Our whole world is disrupted. Kind of seems like that there's just chaos and contention and hate all around us. It's easy to think and get lost in that negativity, like everything is so bad for us. What are you going to do with your kids? Are your kids going back to school? Oh, Jesus, we could go on for ages, right? But instead of focusing on that, you need to wake up every single day and actually say the things that you have going for you. You need to stop and think about how good you really have it versus focusing on the tragedies and the heartaches that you faced. Now, I'm not saying that death of a loved one or health issues, I'm not saying that those aren't real. They are real reasons to set you back. But you, at the end of the day, have the ability to overcome it all by what you say within your own mind and what you speak to yourself every day. So, no self-pity. And instead of focusing on all of those things that are heartaches in your life, you have to say out loud and to yourself over and over every single day, I have a great life. And at risk of sounding kind of cliche, give gratitude for those things. I kind of don't like to tell people to write down gratitudes and stuff because you hear it everywhere. And you hear it from what in my opinion is a lot of rah, cheer you on, cheerleader type speakers, motivators. And I just hate that. I don't like motivators. I don't think that it's effective. They make a lot of money doing it, and the people that go see them, it doesn't really end up changing their life unless they can actually find inspiration from it. Okay. So at risk of using that overly used terms of gratitude, you have to actually focus on what you are grateful for in your life and start talking and focusing your energy on the things that are going well for you. So you may be shut into your home. You may be up in arms over what you're going to do with your kids in school. Believe me, guys, I'm facing all those same things. But instead of focusing on all of those issues and stumbling blocks, what I'm choosing to do every day is be really thankful and talk to myself about the things that I'm doing that are positive. I get on this podcast twice a week and have the ability to change people's lives. I get messages every single day, thank God, from people that listen to me and follow me and are part of my EML community. I get messages that let me know that I'm making a difference. I'm starting a new food company where I am really going to be able to improve the health of millions of people because of what I'm willing to go out there and work for. That's the shit I'm focusing on. So I could be sitting back and going, well, I got a lot of shit on my plate. I'm not going to share all of it here because I don't overly share all my personal business. But I can tell you, I have a lot of things that I'm trying to overcome right now, and I could be letting those bury me and drag me down, and I'm choosing not to. So no self-pity, and wake up every single day and say out loud and say to yourself all of the things that are good in your life. There's so much more good than there is bad. Now, when you start with that simple kind of umbrella mindset, you do have to develop a practice around it. And part of that practice has to involve the small things that you could take the easy route and you choose to take the hard route. So I gotta be totally honest. The world kind of just grosses me out in general. People, I think, have gotten very, very pathetic. I think we've gotten to be very weak. I laugh and kind of call it the pussification of humankind. Like, people don't have any resiliency, and especially mental resiliency right now. Think about it. Ask yourself this. If someone doesn't agree with you or share an opinion, what do? Do you instantly get full of hate and turn them off or block them on your social media? Or do you step back and go like, maybe there's something I could learn from someone that has a different opinion than me, right? Like, we're so overly sensitive right now in the small shit. But when we are overly sensitive and weak mentally in the small things, you guys, when the big shit happens, you're not going to have the mindset and the mental resiliency to overcome. So you have to get a daily practice of embracing the difficult things that are out there. And that can be as simple as, embracing people that maybe don't have the same political views as you. Now, don't get drawn into that bullshit conversation, but just be willing to be open, right? Challenge yourself and take the hard route. It's really easy if you're a Fox News listener to sit and listen to Fox News all day, right? That's not hard. That's just you sitting in a room full of people that agree with you. And the opposite end of the spectrum, if you sit there and listen to CNN all day long, like, you're just fucking weak. You're not really taking the difficult route. All you're doing is surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded. That's weakness, guys. Where mental strength comes from is from you embracing things that make you uncomfortable. So whether it's in the news, if it is doing a workout that makes you uncomfortable, if it is reading a book that makes you uncomfortable, those little things are absolutely critical in developing the daily level of mental toughness and mental resiliency. So I'll tell you, kind of finish it up today with the daily practices that I have that help me kind of continue and not fall prey into mental weakness and a kind of a weak mindset when things get tough. Okay. For one, I get up when my alarm goes off in the morning, even though I don't want to. Now, I know that sounds crazy and so simple, but I do it, and I do it every single day because, for one, I would be lying and breaking a promise to myself if I hit my snooze button.
because that's what it is. You're breaking a promise with yourself. But anyway, it would be kind of the easier route. So first thing in the morning, I take the harder route by not snoozing my alarm. And then I do not allow myself to just go to what's comfortable and pick up my phone. And, for me, I could find some things, people are going to say some great things to me about how great I am of a person and how much I've helped them. That's easy, right? But I don't want to do that on my phone. So I don't pick up my phone. I leave my phone at my desk where it's plugged in overnight. And I immediately walk downstairs and I put my bare feet on the earth. And that part is simple, but what I do from that is really, really hard for me. And it's a 5-minute practice of meditation. Now, that may not sound difficult to some of you, but for me, that is really hard. And to train my brain to be quiet and to be still and completely connected to my body is fucking hard. Like, literally within 10 seconds, I'm already like thinking about one thing, or I'm listening to the sound of the waves and I'm thinking like, oh, well, we could go on the boat this weekend and it's just constant in my head. Okay. I have a brain that just doesn't turn off. So that meditation practice is how I, again, try to develop more mental toughness. I've been doing this for a couple months now, and I still have not mastered even 5 minutes of being completely without thoughts flying out of my head that shouldn't be there while I'm trying to stay connected. So that's hard. I challenge myself. And then I want my coffee, and this is something new I've been doing, but instead of getting my coffee right away, I actually go out and go for a walk with my dog. Lately, I just have not been motivated to do that, but I'm doing it because it's challenging me, and it's taking the more difficult route instead of choosing to take the easy route. And then after I do that, I get going with the rest of my day. But it also comes down to when I go to the grocery store, do I load up my car and leave my cart at an easy place, or do I walk it across the parking lot and I put it away? I fucking put it away. That little shit, you guys, it goes so far, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And how you train your brain to accept challenges and the things that are difficult is how you train your brain to accept eventually, when they come raining down on you, the hard things. Like the gal who reached out to me, the suicide of her brother. That shit is real. Like, that is stuff that takes a lot of mental fortitude and a lot of mental resiliency to come out of. I've been there. I've been there in the big things. I've been there with the death of my daughter, started with the death of my dad when I was only 10 years old, and I pretty much raised myself. So I developed a lot of resiliency when I was young, but that doesn't mean that that just stayed with me. I still have to work out it every single day. So you've got to think, where in your life do you continue to take the easy route? Is it grabbing something that's convenient for breakfast, like a frozen waffle or something that's quick or a piece of toast? Or is it taking the extra 10 minutes and doing what's more difficult and actually fueling your body with the right food? All of that shit matters. And when you give yourself an out on those little things, you will never be able to overcome the big things. So I'm going to leave it with that. Get a daily practice in of embracing struggle and introducing difficult things into your daily life. Do not take the easy route. If given a choice for the elevator or the stairs, take the stairs. It has nothing to do with the extra calories you're going to burn. It has everything to do with you embracing something that's more difficult. Let's face it. We all have a lot of self-pity, and I'm seeing it a lot these days, more than ever. And this actually is a time for us to step back, and we are given some difficulties right now. These are real difficulties. So we have the choice to blame others, to project things outside of ourselves, or we have the choice to take this opportunity to embrace struggle and embrace the adversity that's going on in our lives and see how grateful we can be, and see clearly how much good we do have in our life, that is how you develop mental resiliency. So here's the truth I'm going to leave you with today. I assure you that you are not alone. I assure you that your problems are not as big as you think they are. I assure you that if you have a warm home, food in your refrigerator, a car to drive around in, a computer or a phone to listen to this podcast in, I promise you your life is not as hard as you think. It is up to you to get some perspective and to take time to look at the world around you and be thankful for everything that you have. That, my friends, is mental toughness. Thanks so much for tuning in today. And before I go, I brought up my text service. Oh, there's not enough of you taking advantage of this. So all you have to do is text me. My number is 702-500-1668. And it really is it was awesome. I got involved in this platform that's called the community, and it allows me to have a phone number that I can directly communicate with literally tens of thousands of people on. It's fantastic. And I don't sell you shit on it. That's not what I do anyway. Half of you that listen to me don't even actually know what I do for a living. But I send you out just little messages here and there. They're always upbeat. They're positive. It also allows you an opportunity to reach out to me. And I really do my best. So far, I've been able to do it. But I do my best to answer every single one of your texts directly. It may not be within a couple of days, but always usually within a week. So I really encourage you, take advantage of it. You're probably missing out on a lot of inspiration and a lot of educational pieces and just a lot of support that I have to lend. So 702-500-1668. Get on that text list, and we'll see you next time.